So this is going to be an interactive day, and I'm American. So let's try it again. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Thank you. With the tie, I kind of wanted to be a headmaster, clearly. Thank you for coming. I'm Skip Fidura. I'm the Client Services Director here at Dotmailer. A couple of housekeeping things I want to get through, and I just want to say thanks to both Magento and the guys, all the guys at Monsoon, for helping us put on today. Actually, putting on a day and letting us play along is a better way to phrase it. I think it's going to be a really fascinating day. We're at a really, really interesting time in e-commerce and B2B E-Commerce, and so I think you'll get a lot out of it today. As I said, just a couple of housekeeping things. Our standard fire drill is Monday mornings at 7 a.m., so we're not expecting it to go off today. If you hear it go off, the exits are on either end. I'm reliably told that the locks on those doors unlock when the fire alarm goes off. Never really tried it, so don't really know. But just follow it. Any Dotmailer employee will be able to get you through there, down.
I guess our background and the reason why we put this event on today is because we've got a pretty strong background in B2B E-Commerce. We've built some pretty cool sites, some of which we're going to take you through today. As Skip said, I want this to be as interactive as possible. So, even in the middle, maybe even in midstream of a presentation, if you feel like you've got a question, stop them, interject. There will be questions at the end of every presentation as well. Time to jot down. You've got pads in front of you, pens. Make notes, and there'll be questions kind of particularly around the case study at the end, when we hope to kind of wrap up everything that we've covered during the day with a one-to-one with Paul from a client of ours, Uniphar. So I just want to run through the agenda for those who kind of maybe need to skip out at occasion during the day, so you'll know when the breaks are, and also what we're going to be covering. So we're going to set the scene with Paul and Michael, Paul from Monsoon and Michael from Magento, and talk a little bit about the market, the B2B market and the B2B opportunity. We're going to then talk, Mark Wiesler from Magento will then step up and give us a background to Magento as a platform, and also the roadmap around B2B and where they're going to take the platform into 2017, and the B2B opportunity more generally for Magento. Then we're going to talk a little bit about, you're maybe at the start of your journey, maybe you're re-platforming from an old platform, and there are challenges around the kind of IT side of things. So how are you going to architect that solution for scale and for growth? And how are you going to serve your customers as best you possibly can? So this is for the non-techies. This is going to be the technical bit, I guess. And this is going to be around kind of integration with ERP if you're running an ERP. Then we'll have a quick fire Q&A around Brexit. We have some content around Brexit. It's a hot topic. So we've done some research. We're going to throw out some questions to a small panel here, and hopefully we'll stimulate some conversation around that and the challenges that companies might face around that. We'll take a break for 15 minutes, and then Daniel Alb will step up after the break and talk a little bit about the customer and your customer and how they want to interact with a B2B e-commerce platform and what they're looking for, and the impact of B2C on B2B. Then we're going to talk a little bit about, at that point you will have your site, it's running, and you're now trying to generate revenue from that. So what sorts of things can you do around marketing automation to ensure that your customers are engaged with that platform? And then, as I said, we're going to wrap up the day with a case study conversation between myself and Paul Cooling from Uniphar, who's kind of just gone on this journey and kind of out the other end of it, 6 months live, and talk a little bit about the project, kind of warts and all. What are the things, what are the gotchas that you might need to look out for at the end of the day. So hopefully the structure of the day makes sense, and that we're going to cover off as many questions as you might have, but of course, as I said, at any point during the day, if you have a question, just stick the hand up. It's an intimate venue. We've got an intimate group of people here, so there's no formality here. Just feel free to get engaged. So without further ado, I'm going to hand over to Paul and to Michael. Michael's from Magento, Paul from Monsoon Consulting, and they're going to talk a little bit about the B2B.
Morning, everyone. Thank you for coming this morning. We're not going to start off with a completely boring presentation, so it's going to be a very quick introduction to the B2B market, a little bit about what Monsoon has been seeing and their experience in dealing with customers, and a little bit about what I've been seeing at Magento. I'm the enterprise sales manager for Magento UK, so I get a lot of inquiries about B2B opportunities and what's happening in the B2B industry. So I want to share a little bit of that with yourselves, and I'll hand over to Paul to start with it.
Cool. So basically what we're wanting to do for this section is to set the scene. E-commerce has moved a long way in the last decade, but the B2B sector hasn't really moved that far at all. It's relatively underdeveloped compared to B2C. So you've only got about 25% of companies that have actually built a B2B website. The sector's not kept up with its customers. And so that represents a huge opportunity for everyone in this room. And you can see that 9 out of 10 buyers actually want to shop online. So there's, you're missing out if you're not online. And this presentation is actually focused on as if you are not online at the moment. So if you've got a basic site, it's still relevant, but it's mainly focused towards the clients that we see that are not online. Now, millennials, they're going to be making up 75% of the workforce pretty quickly. And they're increasingly responsible for decisions. They're representing at the moment 89% of the decisions that are made as far as buying is concerned. So you're more likely to buy online and research online if you're a millennial. And so as suppliers, we need to be where the customer is. Now, having just any old site isn't good enough. You're going to pay a lot of money to get a site up, and there's a lot of marketing and effort that goes into it. So you're going to have to maximize on every visit from your clients. And for that, you need an intuitive and easy to use site. And as you can see, 70% of B2B buyers have said that they'll spend more of their budget online if the site is intuitive and easy to use. So effectively what you need to be doing is bringing the B2C experience into B2B, which Dan Alp's going to cover a bit later on as well.
What we've seen in Magento, excuse me, voice is going already. What we've seen in Magento the last couple of months, as I mentioned, is an increased inquiry about B2B and where the B2B market's heading. We've seen a lot of businesses that have seen the B2C market grow phenomenally, yet B2B sites, I don't know whose site is which one here, so I'm not pointing at fingers at them. I don't want any nasty emails afterwards for it. But I've seen some websites which I would assume have been there since the beginning of the internet on B2B customers, and it's horrific to use. It's hard to use. It's not user friendly. A lot of, especially the millennials, we're used to seeing websites like Amazon when I click twice and it's delivered the same day. When you go to some of the B2B sites, it's hard to use. It's not user friendly at all. And most of the time you don't actually get what you want, so you end up calling and making the order online. So what we're trying to do is help you move over into the B2C experience on the B2B platforms for businesses, and that's what we're going to talk a little bit more about today. Mark's has disappeared. Wait, where is he? There he is. He was here a minute ago, I was panicking, I was like, I can't do this bit. So Mark's going to talk a little bit more about that and how we've managed to adapt Magento platform and why we've actually now brought out a dedicated B2B module for this.
So the next few slides, we're going to go through some issues that have been raised by our clients. So on the left-hand side of the slide are the issues that they've raised with us. And during our consultations with those clients, the right-hand side represents the business implications that we've uncovered with them. basically, the first one that I wanted to cover off was restricted opening times. So, at the moment people are faxing through orders, emailing orders, and working in the old way. Spoken to lots of suppliers that they've found that there's a disconnect in their relationship with their customers because they've left messages, there's a poor customer service, deliveries are late, orders are processed late, and it's just not a very good customer experience at all. So, as you can see, 94% of B2B buyers prefer to make an immediate purchase. So there's a lot of potentially impulse buyers out there as well, even in B2B. So you're missing out on that market if you're not online. And they want to see peer reviews, they want to see more product detail, and if they don't have it, they'll go over to competitors.
Not sure if everyone's aware, but we actually got sold by eBay last year in November, so I'm now allowed to say this. The reason eBay's taken such a decline in the orders coming through on the site is because it's still needing human response from every single seller to get back to your customers. You send an email, sometimes you don't respond to the following day. You have a query about delivery of the item, can they offer a discount, etc., etc. Whereas on Amazon, you get an instant response. And that's why Amazon's growing at 2-3 times the rate of e-commerce and eBay's declining in sales. It's very similar with this as well. You're going to see a lot of businesses will go elsewhere to order their products because they don't want to wait until the following morning to get a response or speak to somebody on the phone or wait for the fax to be noticed. You want to be able to go online, order straight away, and know your products are going to be delivered, or at least put a quote through, a request for a quote. And if you don't have those facilities in place and you're still doing it the old way, you're going to see a decline in your customers, especially over the next 18-24 months, as more and more B2B businesses are gearing up to start utilising the online opportunities available.
So most of the 75% that don't have a site, at the moment they're using catalogs. So, obviously with catalogs you can't customize pricing, there's restricted space on the catalog. When a new product comes out, what are you going to do? You're going to reissue a whole new catalog and distribute it. It just doesn't work. So obviously, at the moment, about 69% of B2B retailers that use catalogs are looking at discontinuing catalogs over the next 5 years. So that's like a massive statistic there to think about. If 75% of the market is not online and 69% of that is actually looking to ditch the catalogs, they're all going to go online. So competition is going to heat up massively over the next 5 years. So effectively you need to be ahead of the curve. The impetus is now to start thinking about this and implementing online e-commerce.
Catalogs are great, but I'd like to see a show of hands who still advertises in Yellow Pages as compared to Google. That's pretty much what's happening with catalogs as well. You're going to see more and more people are going online to make orders and purchases, and less people wanting to receive a 500-page, beautifully glossy colour catalogue every 3 to 6 months. It's just changing completely. And that's why printers are going out of business as well, because everything's online now.
Right, the next issue, especially prevalent for large manufacturers, overstocking of items, inventory, it's quite a huge problem out there. There's actually an industry that's dedicated to buying overstocked items, obviously for a few pence in the pound. It also represents a huge cost and a drag on the business. So it's something to think about. Excess inventory is taking OPEX and freezing it into CAPEX for your business. So if you can actually get a system in place that runs on a sort of a leaner model as far as anticipating how much inventory you need, then it's going to benefit your business. And obviously data collection, that's quite crucial. With offline you don't have no data collection ability, so you're not able to track conversions, seasonality, average order value, trends, and capitalize on these. So obviously what happens when you don't have this information? You're making poor business decisions because you're not basing your decisions on all the facts and all the figures. So, yeah.
From Magento's perspective, I would have to say it's probably the strongest and my favourite feature within the solution, and that's knowing who your customers are, how to market to your customers, and how to make sure they're receiving relevant information. Google, Amazon, and all the other marketplaces out there are doing such a good job of knowing exactly what I want to buy when I go onto their website, which is why I always end up buying crap on Amazon that I don't need. I think there's a few of us here that might agree with that as well. They always know how to cross-sell and upsell, and that's based on them collecting a lot of data about my shopping habits, what I look at, how often I look at it. They know when my shaver runs out, and they always send me an email saying, hey, you must be running low, do you guys want to reorder? And what we want to do is we want to bring that experience to your customers as well through the Magento platform, to give you the ability to know who your customers are, what their shopping habits are, what do they buy, how often do they buy it, and actually be able to give them a very personalised experience when they come onto your site. And this has been shown to increase a tremendous amount of customer retention and be able to generate new customers as well, because you can actually segment and categorise what each customer falls into within each category, and you can market to them on that basis and be able to provide a much more personalised experience for them. And this is very, very important.
Yeah, so obviously offline it's you don't have digital marketing capabilities, you lack customer tracking, your emails aren't personalised, and you're generally not responsive to your client base. So yeah, the worst thing you can do is send out irrelevant emails, and I think Skip's going to be covering that a bit later on. So yeah, I thought this image was quite relevant to the way the sector's going.
That's Magento, by the way. We couldn't get it in orange.
So obviously you want to be seen as today's supplier for your customers. You don't want them going anywhere else, and we're here to make sure that you make that happen. So the next person up is Mark from Magento, and he's here to discuss the B2B roadmap. Thank you.
Great, thank you.